Good evening. Welcome to the combined work session, regular in-person and virtual meeting for September 13th, 2022. The first item on the work session agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance spot led by Khald Doulat. The second item on the work session agenda is the introduction of the 2022-2023 Student Board Representatives by Mr. Joshua Peterkin, Upper Darby High School Assistant Principal.
Good evening, Dr. McGarry, President Brown, and members of the Upper Darby School District School Board. My name is Josh Peterkin, and I have the privilege to be the Assistant Principal for the Upper Darby High School Class of 2023. I'm excited to be here this evening to introduce the representatives for the school board for the 2022-2023 school year. As I had the opportunity to move into this role from my previous role last year as lead teacher with our class of 2022, I was not a part of the rigorous selection process that our two representatives underwent last spring. However, I do know that as part of the process, they were required to submit an essay as to why they wanted to be a school board rep and what they wanted to accomplish through this role. Students had to get teacher recommendations, and then the finalists went through an interview process with Mr. Bennett and Mrs. Simone. It is my privilege to introduce you this evening to Mr. Khald Doulat and Ms. Salma Ghorfa, who is not able to be here this evening. By way of a brief introduction to our two representatives, both Salma and Khald have attended the district since grade school, with Salma attending Garrettford Elementary School, then Drexel Hill Middle School, while Khald attended Highland Park Elementary School and then Beverly Hills Middle School. Throughout their years in the district, they have both been extremely involved members of their school communities. As members of musical groups, Khald was especially proud that he's been a member of the chorus in all three of the buildings he has attended, as well as sports teams, honor societies, and a variety of clubs. Both students have taken part in the principal's student advisory group here at the high school under our former principal, Mrs. Kelly Simone, and both have been part of the Muslim Student Association. Although Salma was not able to be here this evening, and she does pass along her apologies, I have asked both Salma and Khald why did they want to undertake this role. Khald shared that filling this role would allow him the opportunity to continue to make a difference. In this role, he would be able to communicate with administrators from our elementary and middle schools across the district to hear about all the ways that we are providing authentic opportunities for our students to learn and grow. Salma echoed some of the same sentiments, and she also explained that she has always viewed herself as a very outspoken person and advocates for what she believes in. She wanted this position so that she would be able to use those qualities to be a voice for the student body of the Upper Darby School District. She has been interested in becoming more involved in our community and witnessing how the board makes decisions and sets goals for the district. I look forward to working with both Khald and Salma throughout this school year as they have the opportunity to communicate with our school leadership and bring exciting, relevant information to you each and every month. Thank you.
Welcome, Khald and Salma. She's not here, but we'll welcome her when she's back. But we expect big things from you. After hearing your bio, I think you're going to do a great job, and welcome to the special select group of student representatives. We've had phenomenal students in the past, and we expect the same from you and Salma, so thank you for taking on this challenge. Okay. Before we call tonight's meeting to order, Dr. McGarry, will you please outline the public participation procedure, sir?
Yes, I hadn't had a chance to see the latest update to the website, but I'd love if it looks really good. I don't know if that's newer or not, but I like the way that looks, so compliments. Yeah, compliments to the crew that does that. But we have in-person opportunities to participate in board meetings. We will allow individuals who came in person to come to the microphone at the time of a particular report. After the board has conversations on that report, it's comment only this evening. A member of the public can come to the microphone at the point where the board president allows for public comment and make a comment before the board takes that into consideration. Again, we'll go to the members in the audience first. There's a general commenting period as well, and you would have had to have signed up by 7:30 this evening to comment generally at the end of the meeting. That ties into how you can participate virtually. You can participate virtually either by phoning in your comments to 610-789-7200, extension 2000. Again, you would provide your name, address, and a specific report to comment on, and you would comment on that at the appropriate time. The board would read that into the record, and we would make that part of the minutes for this evening. If you are someone who would like to provide your comments virtually, it would be board. You can send an email to boardmeetingcomments@upperdarbysd.org. Again, please provide your name, address, and the specific report you'd like to comment on, and the board will take that into consideration and include that in the minutes. Also, publicly, if you want to do virtually participate in the general public comments, your voicemail had to be sent in prior to 7:30, and your general comment had to be sent into the email address prior to 7:30. I'm happy to provide an update as we go, Board President Brown.
Thank you, Dr. McGarry. The regular in-person virtual meeting of the Upper Darby School District Board of School Directors will please come to order. There was a closed session this evening from 5:30 p.m. until 7:30 p.m. for matters to be discussed within the limitations for closed deliberations as prescribed by Pennsylvania Act 93 of 1998. For this evening's meeting, there were personnel and litigation matters. Roll call, Board Secretary, Mr. Rogers, please.
Dr. Haig,
Present.
Mr. Desnoyers,
Present.
Mr. Neal,
Present.
Mr. Warsavage,
Present.
Ms. Lamar Murphy,
Present.
Ms. Williams,
Present.
Ms. Mitchell,
Present.
Mr. Fields, Mr. Brown.
Present. Vice President Fields is excused. He's on a business trip. The district posted this evening's agenda to board docs at least 24 hours prior to the commencement of this meeting. Is there a motion to approve that previously posted agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Are there any amendments to offer?
There are no amendments tonight.
Thank you. The agenda has been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please signify by saying I oppose and state your name for the record. Those abstaining, please signify by saying I abstain and state your name for the record. The motion carried. The minutes of the combined work session regular meeting of August 9th, 2022 is in the hands of each board member and has been made available to the public. I move for its adoption.
Second.
Are there any comments from the board? Are there any comments from the public? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, please signify by saying I oppose and state your name for the record. Those abstaining, please signify by saying I abstain and state your name for the record. The motion carried. The report of the Secretary, Director Williams.
The report of the Secretary is in the hands of each board member and has been made available to the public. I move for its adoption.
Second.
Thank you. Are there any comments from the board? Are there any comments from the public? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please signify by saying I oppose and state your name for the record. Those abstaining, please signify by saying I abstain and state your name for the record. The motion carried. The report of the Treasurer, Director Neal.
Thank you, President Brown. The report of the Treasurer is in the hands of each board member, has been made available to the public. I move for its adoption.
Second.
Thank you. Are there any comments from the board? Are there any comments from the public? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please signify by saying I oppose and state your name for the record. Those abstaining, please signify by saying I abstain and state your name for the record. The motion carried. The budget of personnel and enrollment reports have been made available to the board and the public and are recorded as part of the record. No vote is required. We will now have the report of the superintendent, Dr. Dan McGarry.
Thank you. Good evening, Board President Brown, members of the board, administration, teachers, staff, students, parents, and members of the Upper Darby community. Please join me again in welcoming our new school board student representatives, Khald Doulat and Salma Ghorfa. I just want to take a moment and say to Khald, as I walked in here tonight, and Mr. Peterkin did an excellent job. I think you sold yourself a little short. I think you've been a part of some of the most prestigious moments lately in the school district history, meeting with the U.S. Secretary of Education, representing your students as well, meeting Governor Wolf. So you've already represented us very well, but there is a history here, as Board President Brown said, a long and distinguished history of the seat that you're now sitting in, of people that have done this job representing their student body. So obviously, we've known you've done that well, and we look the same for Selma, but we're excited to have you. I am personally excited to have you because we've spent so many years together. Seeing you get to this moment is really exciting, and you coming out of your shell, which is great. So we look forward to having you, and congratulations again on this prestigious honor. So good luck this year. Yeah, you could clap. Go ahead. This evening, I am providing an update on our reopening of schools for the 22-23 school year, our challenges and successes thus far, and an update on our facilities, and information on upcoming discussions related to safety and security. On August the 16th, we welcome back all of our new teachers. On August the 23rd, all of the Upper Darby School District staff attended our district day, opening day kickoff ceremony. In total, we have over 1,700 employees to serve over 12,000 students, including new staff. To date this year, we have hired 118 professional employees, and a total of 163 staff members have joined our team. It is without question a collective effort to run such a large organization. The Upper Darby School District has an excellent team of dedicated staff, and I want to take a moment again to say thank you to our transportation staff, drivers, trainees and bus aides, maintenance and facility staff, our technology staff, our safety and security staff, central registration staff, our support staff, including secretaries, teaching assistants, and PCAs, our hourly employees, noontime assistants, administrators, and our board of school directors, and of course our teachers, nurses, counselors, social workers, psychologists, and all others who work with our students day in and day out. We truly have a great team here in the Upper Darby School District, and we're blessed to have the team that we do. Following Board President Brown's encouraging and reaffirming virtual opening day kickoff remarks, I focused my words on acknowledging the challenges we face, and I reflected on the need to focus efforts this year on bringing back the magic of teaching and learning. I am proud of our efforts to open school on time this year, despite staffing shortages in areas of transportation, cleaning services, professional educational staff, and support staff. For the past several years, transportation has been an ongoing concern, and despite our best efforts to plan for a smooth opening, shortages in staffing have caused delays with services and upset the students and the community we serve. Prior to and during the pandemic, school districts throughout the Commonwealth and the nation were facing staffing shortages for teachers, bus drivers, and hourly staff. We continue to face those challenges, and I want to apologize to the public and this board for current delays and disruptions regarding transportation. We also experienced issues with our routing software, which has added to our transportation delays and frustration with families. We have created an improved and updated communication system known as an app, Bus Status. This app is now live and will provide families information as to the status of their bus, on time, delayed, etc., similar to what you would see if you go to the airport for flights. We will also be providing a bus bulletin from our transportation department. The bus bulletin system will send out robocalls, which are phone calls, text messages, and emails based on busing information to not only district families, but families who attend non-public and charter schools. We are currently also in the process of onboarding a new supervisor of transportation and several new bus drivers. I want to take a moment, because he's here in the audience, to thank Marvin Lee, who wears many hats in the school district day in and day out. I know you receive a lot of phone calls. Mrs. Simone, Dr. Manfrey, Mr. Marshallak, and the principals who are fielding a lot of calls with transportation concerns. To the members of the public, we hope in the next few weeks that as we onboard new members of the transportation team, that we'll have improved communications and improved transportation services. Again, I would like to apologize for the inconvenience and disruptions with transportation thus far this year. As a district, we continue to move forward with facilities improvements. I'm going to provide just a brief list of the much larger programs that we have here in the district. Phase 2 of the bathroom improvements at Beverly Hills Middle School are completed. Upper Darby High School's tennis courts will be completed by mid-November. Upper Darby High School will have a new grass field improvement on the back of the property that has been much overdue and needed. That process has started today, from what I understand. The turf field and track at Drexel Hill Middle School, if you have an opportunity to drive by Drexel Hill Middle School, be careful, it's still under construction, but you'll see that the turf is down at Drexel Hill Middle School, and it's made a tremendous difference. New bleachers and new stands are going in as well. The track and turf field and new parking lot and new retaining wall at Beverly Hills Middle School is underway, and we hope that should be finished by the end of October, November as well. Renovation of the new administration building at 8201 Lansdowne Avenue continues to move forward in a positive direction. We hope, hopefully by winter break, to move into that location, because right now we are without a home in central office. Their work at renovation and expansion of Aronimink Elementary School, after much work by this board and hours of meetings, you can see now that all that work is paying off and that building is going up very well. We are also in the process of going out to bid for HVAC, heating, air conditioning, ventilation improvements throughout the high-need buildings in the district. We hope that once we receive those bids, the work to improve those HVAC systems can be completed by August of '23. We are also continuing to review off-site stormwater management and related costs for the Clifton Heights Middle School project. While we've overcome some significant hurdles and obstacles, we want to make sure that we're doing our due diligence to find out what the cost would be to improve the stormwater management and not be an overburden to taxpayers based on the information we've learned. We will be providing an update on these projects moving forward. Again, as I mentioned, the aforementioned projects consist of the larger projects that we are working on in the district. The list does not include the daily ongoing maintenance challenges we face in the district with very old, aging facilities. With this in mind, we are also completing an updated facilities study that we hope to present to the board and public in February of '23. Included in the updated facilities study is a review of potential locations for a new elementary school in the district. We will be providing a status update on our efforts to find a suitable location to build a new elementary school during our September committee meeting. I understand there were some comments made at a recent township meeting, and I just want to make sure that we're communicating clearly what plans are out there and what's actually we're following up on. The school district continues to look at opportunities to promote, implement, and sustain safe and supportive schools here in the community. We have reviewed safety procedures with the district teachers and staff, have met with the Upper Darby Police and Upper Darby Fire Department in preparation for our safety school drills this year. We will also be hosting a tabletop emergency preparedness exercise with local emergency responders, our building administrators, our district team, and we are including, the school district is including, other community non-public schools in our area to participate in that training, because we never know what could happen here, and we want to be good neighbors and support one another. During September's committee meetings, we will also provide an overview of our safety procedures in the district, and we'll be also going to the board talking about potential safety enhancements that we'd like to bring forward and have a discussion on to provide safety in the building and at extracurricular activities. I just want to take a moment to also share with you our annual opening of schools tour video that we do when we get off to kick off the school year. If we can hit play, I think this is great. Compliments to Aranda and Jason.
Cause I got a bed set of moves, and I think they're gonna last long enough.
I do, yeah. The one video with the young man with the mohawk, Kelly called me into the room. I forget what. Yeah, yeah, and it was pretty funny, and then Greg and I made a pact on the Be Kind sticker pledge at Garriford. Didn't last long to one another, but we did pledge to be kind. But really good job to the team. That's a lot of fun getting out to the schools. It's been very hot in the schools. Compliments to the teachers, in particular at Bywood and Stonehurst. Having worked there, Bywood on the third floor, it's very, very hot at those schools. So the teachers, compliments to what they've done, the administration, the staff's there. It's great to get out to see the students and go out on a tour like that. Next year, we will invite the board to go with us, maybe get you to go on that tour if you're available. But it is really cool to see. We did that the second week of school. It took us 2 days to get through all the buildings. So poor Jay, was running up and down the hallways with the camera. But it's really great to get out there to see the kids. Every kid that we went in all the buildings, there was a happiness and an energy in the schools. And again, that's compliments to the principals and the teachers and the support of the board that were there. We have a lot of work to do in the facilities, as you can see, but there are positives. We're making positive inroads, so compliments to everybody. And in closing, I want to ask for continued support and patience as we build toward opportunity, unity, and excellence in the school district. We're far from perfect. We have a lot of work to do, but I think if we're open and honest with each other, we can get there and keep pushing forward. And Board President Brown and members of the school board, this concludes my report for this evening.
Thank you, Dr. McGarry, for that excellent report. You kind of spoiled us, though. Now we're going to expect a video at every superintendent's report, so no pressure. Next year, the board will like its own bus when we do this tour. So. We will now have an update on the August 23rd, 2022 Education and Pupil Services Committee meeting. Director Williams, I believe, will read the summary.
Thank you. As mentioned, on August 23rd, 2022, we had an Education and Pupil Services Committee meeting. I'm just going to give a brief summary of that meeting. Our administrative liaisons for that meeting are Mr. Ed Marshallek and Dr. Christine Kelly. Number one from that summary is we had a Upper Darby High School schedule audit update. That was informational. The district administration provided the public a first review of the high school schedule audit. We utilized the American Rescue Plan, so ARP, elementary and secondary school emergency relief, ESSER funds, to get a consultant to perform that audit for us with representatives from the district. So the process and the rationale behind that and the steps were discussed. Again, this item was informational only. The second item from that agenda were some policies and board action for that is required. So there was 4 items for that. 103, which was discrimination, Title IX, sexual harassment affecting students. 104, which was Title IX, sexual harassment affecting staff. 202, eligibility of non-resident students. And 245, which is school wellness. And there were no public comments from that meeting. That concludes the summary.
Thank you very much, Director Williams. We will now have an update on the August 23rd, 2022 Finance and Operations Committee meeting. I'll turn it over to my co-chair, Director Warsavage.
Thank you very much, President Brown. Finance and Operations Committee meeting was last held here Tuesday, August 23rd in the boardroom. There were 2 items up for consideration, one of which was informational, one of which will require board action. First item was a 2022 bond issuance update. That was informational. District administration provided an update on the finalized 2022 bond issuance and the impact it will have on the district's capital plan. The second item, which will require board action, is a few policies that are being updated. Policy 606, tax collection, and policy 913, non-school organizations / groups / individuals. There was no public comment.
Thank you very much, Director Warsavage. Next is the instruction and curriculum report. I'll fill in for my Vice President, Mr. Don Fields, who's not here. The instruction and curriculum report is in the hands of each board member and has been made available to the public. I move for its adoption.
Second.
Thank you. Are there any comments from the board? Are there any comments from the public? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, please signify by saying I oppose and state your name for the record. Those abstaining, please signify by saying I abstain and state your name for the record. The motion carries. The personnel report, Director Mitchell, please.
Thank you, President Brown. The personnel report is in the hands of each board member and has been made available to the public. Before I move for its adoption, I do just want to acknowledge an administrative appointment tonight for Jeff Wilkerson as the Assistant Manager of Facilities. Welcome, and you have a lot of work to do. And I also want to acknowledge the numerous professional appointments for this school year. As we know, turnover's been high, and we're very concerned about that, and I am very confident that our staff is putting in the measures that we need to do to make the best experience possible for our new employees. So welcome to the district, welcome to the Upper Darby family. With that being said, I move for the adoption of the report as stated.
Second.
Thank you. Are there any comments from the board? Are there any comments from the public? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please signify by saying I oppose and state your name for the record. Those abstaining, please signify by saying I abstain and state your name for the record. The motion carried. The policy report, Director Desnoyers.
Thank you. There are no policies undergoing a first reading. For the policy report second reading, the policy report is in the hands of each board member and has been made available to the public. I move for its adoption.
Second.
Thank you. Are there any comments from the board?
So there are 6 policies undergoing a second reading this evening. And as a reminder, if these changes are approved by the board in this meeting, they will be adopted and implemented. The policies impacted are 103, discrimination, Title IX, sexual harassment affecting students. 104, discrimination, Title IX, sexual harassment affecting staff. 202, eligibility of non-resident students. 246, school wellness. 606, tax collection. And 913, non-school organizations, groups, and individuals. I'll now give a brief summary of the changes. A more detailed listing of the changes can be found in the summary of policy changes second reading, which is posted to board docs. So for policies 103 and 104, the district's compliance officer and Title IX coordinator is being updated at the request of administration. And I would like to congratulate Ms. Kamisha Simpson on assuming this role. Policy 202, the policy is being updated to address the enrollment of students whose families move out of the district during the school year. This update was requested by administration. Policy 246, the policy is being updated to better describe the ways in which the district contributes to students' wellness. This update was requested by administration. Policy 606, this change is driven by an amendment to the local tax collection law, which is a state law, that reinforces the general rule for when a property owner in the district does not receive a school tax bill, but a very limited exception is now carved out for different treatment. In particular, there is now a very, very narrow path for first-year owners to request a waiver of penalties, interest, and other fees while being ineligible for discounts. For property owners that do not meet all the criteria to be first-year owners, the change reinforces the fact that school taxes are due whether or not the property owner receives a school tax bill. And this change will not become effective until the school tax bills mailed in July of 2023. And finally, Policy 913 is carrying through a change to Policy 913 that was enacted earlier in Policy 220 that related to students. Now this relates to non-school organizations, groups, and individuals, and it is updating the policy after a recent Supreme Court decision and related decisions, changing the term distribution and posting to dissemination, among other changes. That concludes my comment. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Director Desnoyers, for going through that and providing those details. Are there any other comments from the board? Are there any comments from the public? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please signify by saying aye opposed and state your name for the record. Those abstaining, please signify by saying I abstain and state your name for the record. The motion carried. The supplies report, Director Warsavage.
Thank you very much, President Brown. The supplies report is in the hands of each board member and has been made available to the public. I move for its adoption.
Second.
Thank you. Are there any comments from the board? Are there any comments from the public? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please signify by saying I oppose and state your name for the record. Those abstaining, please signify by saying I abstain and state your name for the record. The motion carried. The transportation report, Director Williams.
The transportation report is in the hands of each board member and has been made available to the public. I move for its adoption.
Second.
Thank you. Are there any comments from the board? Are there any comments from the public? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, please signify by saying I oppose and state your name for the record. Those abstaining, please signify by saying I abstain and state your name for the record. The motion carried. The facilities report, the use of facilities, and the donation report. Director Lamar Murphy.
The facilities report, the use of facilities report, and the donation report are in the hands of each board member and have been made available to the public. I move for their adoption.
Second.
Thank you. Are there any comments from the board? Are there any comments from the public? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, please signify by saying I oppose and state your name for the record. Those abstaining, please signify by saying I abstain and state your name for the record. The motion carried. The Finance and Budget Report, Director Dr. Haig.
The Finance and Budget Report is in the hands of each board member and has been made available to the public. I move for its adoption.
Second.
Thank you. Are there any comments from the board? Are there any comments from the public? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, please signify by saying I oppose and state your name for the record. Those abstaining, please signify by saying I abstain and state your name for the record. The motion carried. Okay, that brings us to our collateral assignment reports. So we may not have a lot of content because we're earlier in the school year, but we'll start with the IU. Director Mitchell.
Thank you, President Brown. The IU Board of Directors met on September 7th. We approve similar things to things that are happening here at the school board, including, articulation agreements with colleges for some of our tech students, contracts with school districts for services, things like that. But I think one of the biggest things that I just want to bring to the board's attention is that there is a $90 million renovation and addition project that is in the beginning stages of talks at our Fallcroft Center, which many of our students attend. So I will be reporting out on that as it progresses, but there's a big meeting tomorrow night about, where we are and, what the next step is. But it is a major renovation and addition project, and it will serve our students well. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Thanks for keeping us updated on that. Legislative Council Director Warsavage, has it?
Yeah, President Brown, there is a meeting tomorrow morning at 7:45. I will be in attendance.
Okay, thank you. The Mendenhall Tyson Scholarship Director, Dr. Haig.
No update at this time.
All right. Home and School, back to you, Director Warsavage.
Thank you, President Brown. Unless there's anything that Dr. McGarry would like to add, I just want to remind the public that information for each school's Home and School Association is available on the school's website. All you need to do is go to the district profile, go to each individual school's web link, if you want to call it that, and then for each school there is a tab. If you're looking at the computer screen, it should be on the slight right-hand side, depending on how many menu options there are. It will say Home and School, and it will have contact information there. Dr. McGarry, was there anything you wanted to add to that?
No, we will be setting up a district home and school meeting and soon be doing our fall tour. We also have internal meetings where we're going to have coffee meetings with all the staffs in all the buildings, and I'll provide an update on that as well.
Thank you, Directors Warsavage and Dr. McGarry. For PSBA, I'll just provide some information to the public that the PSBA, the PASA, PASA, and PSBA School Leadership Conferences, October 21st through November 2nd, and our board will be represented at that conference. I will be attending along with Director Mitchell and Director Desnoyers as well. Okay. Anything else from PSBA for, you want to add, Director Desnoyers, or anything else, or Director Williams? Okay. Policy liaisons, Directors Desnoyers and Neal. Anything to add?
Just that I believe at an upcoming Finance and Operations Committee meeting, there will be another presentation and discussion about Policy 707, use of facilities, to hopefully allow the board to solidify what we want in terms of that policy. So stay tuned.
Thank you for that. Communications Directors Dr. Haig and Director Mitchell.
Nothing to add at this point, I think.
Okay. And the Upper Darby Arts and Education Foundation, Director Lamar Murphy.
Thank you. There is a retreat scheduled for this Saturday from 9 to 3. I'll be attending.
Okay. Thank you. I think that completes our collateral assignment reports. Is there any old business from board members? Okay, hearing none. Is there any new business from board members? Oh, sorry. Was there old business? Okay. Is there any new business from board members?
President Brown, I just want to thank the administration and the principals and the staff for opening up the school year. I know it's a difficult week, that first week, and really the first month. A lot of new students coming in our school district, so there's a lot of paperwork and administrative duties that go in the background. Not only are they taking care of the business up front in our schools, what the students see and what the families see, but they do a lot of back-end stuff that I just want to make sure they're acknowledged for their hard work this past month.
And yeah, just to add to that, our sheer size provides more of a challenge than most districts. We're very large, and it's great that you pointed that out. They do a great job. It's they keep it quiet. They do it seamlessly, but we don't really understand the challenges of a small city that's beginning and converging, coming together. So thank you for your work, Dr. McGarry, and you and your team.
If I could just also add, I know it's not technically a new business, but I do want to make a couple comments. Last week, we lost our elementary school students at Bywood Elementary School. We lost a parent who was in the news. Very tragic situation. Keep that family in your thoughts and prayers. And we had another student lose another parent Thursday. So last week was a tough week. Bywood Elementary School, the community is grieving. We have young people without a mom and without a father, so we can keep them in your thoughts and prayers. With that said, this Thursday night, I'll be attending the Bywood Community Association as a safety forum. I'm probably not saying it the right way, but I've been asked to attend. I believe the Upper Darby Police Chief and Fire Chief will be there as well. So I'll be there to talk about safety and security at that meeting, and compliments to Pastor Nate in the community for setting that up.
Thank you, Dr. McGarry. Our hearts and prayers go out to those families. Thank you. Is there any other new business from board members?
If there's no other new business from board members, we do have on the agenda tonight the PSBA elections for PSBA officers. If it's okay with you, President Brown, I'll move forward with the elections.
Please, Mr. Rogers, thank you.
So we will now conduct a vote to elect the PSBA officers for 2023. Each board member has been provided the biographies of the candidates. At this time, we'll review each open position up for election and the number of candidates for each position. The majority of the positions only have one candidate, so we're going to operate a little bit different this year. We typically I poll the board for each one because there are multiple candidates. So what we'll do is we'll go through each position, and I'll ask for a motion in a second, depending on the board's pleasure. So first up would be President-elect. The one and only candidate is Michael Gossert. Gossert. I would ask if the board would like to make any comments before asking for a motion.
I have a question, Mr. Rogers. The position's president-elect, but the other position is like vice president. Is the reason why it's like president-elect is just not president?
Yeah, PSBA does it in advance. So there's a president-elect, there's a current president, and then there's a past president. So they have they do it like a succession of all three positions. So he will be considered the president-elect for the next school year.
All right, thank you.
Yep. And just to comment on Mr. Gossard, he serves on the governing board, the PSB governing board with me, and I think he will make a fine president.
Any other comments from the board? Comments from the public? At this point, can I ask for a motion from the board?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries. The next position's Vice President, Allison Mathis. Can I ask for a motion from the board?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments from the board? Comments from the public? With a motion and a second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next is for Section E4 Advisor, Amy Goldman.
So moved.
Second.
Comments from the board?
Just Amy's been our advisor for quite some time, and she does a great job, so I'm thrilled she's going to stay on.
Any other comments? Comments from the public? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Motion carries. Next, we have the PSBA Insurance Trust trustees. There are 2 seats open. We'll go through the first seat and then the second seat. For first seat, we have Kathy K. Swope. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
So moved.
Any comments from the board? Comments from the public? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any abstaining? Motion carries. The second seat for the trustee positions, Roberta M. Marcus. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments from the board?
Roberta Marcus kind of trains some of the PSBA governing board. She's very knowledgeable and very helpful, so I endorse her as a trustee.
Any other comments from the board? Comments from the public? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries. The final position would be for the Forum Steering Committee. And we have 2 candidates, and you can vote for up to 2. So we can start with, the 2 candidates are Tracy Long and Steve Scrocky.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
It says school board secretaries vote only. So are we to vote on this?
The board has traditionally voted on these anyway,
Okay.
and ultimately it is the secretary's.
So the board can allow me to make the vote if they would like on our own. It does not have to be formally approved by the board, as Ms. Mitchell has pointed out and Mr. Berman has explained. That has been past practice, but we'd gladly move in the direction of not requiring a board vote in this case. If that's okay with the board,
Can we trust you? Yeah, you're good. Yes, sir.
we can close the elections at this time then.
I think that's fine.
So we can move to the next agenda item. Thank you.
Thank you. We are now at the time for the public hearing. We will call on Upper Darby residents who sign in to address the board in the order in which they signed in, followed by emailed and phoned comments. We would ask that you come forward, give your name and address, and present your comments in the 3-minute time limit. In accordance with Policy 903, the time allotted for general comments, both in-person and submitted comments, will not exceed 1 hour. So looking at our list, we will start with Ms. Susan Parker.
I live at 2104 Green Hill Road, Post Office Lansdowne, Upper Darby Township, since 1978. So I'm here as a historical perspective informant. I'm probably unique in the township that I'm the parent of a 99 graduate and a 2002 graduate, and I got involved in the township. We bought the building, bought the house before we had kids, but I got involved when I was pregnant with my 41-year-old son. I've been a volunteer through Bywood every year. Middle school, I went on all the field trips. So I've always been active. My husband and I have both been active in the community. And what's unique, this is a very different school board. I've been here in my youth many times. Now I'm 74. But anyway, I'm here now just to give you a perspective. You're all new people. And as I said, I'm unique. I've lived at this house since 1978. And I walk my dog down the street in the morning, and the children in my neighborhood stand and wait for the bus at 8 in the morning, and they get back at 4 in the afternoon because they are bused for, this is the 18th year to a school not even in Upper Darby District. Okay, that's inappropriate. I see all these fields and this addition on the administration building, and I think you need some perspective. 18 years. Now, like I said, I got involved when I was pregnant with my son, and the issue then was that our neighborhood got bused. We had been to Drexel Hill Elementary, before it was we had been to never been to Highland Park. We'd been to Garrettford, we'd been to Hillcrest, and we were about to be moved to Hillcrest again within a matter of like 6-7 years. And the neighbors came to our our neighborhood block party community organization to complain that their kids were always new kids in the school, okay? That's not good. We stayed in our house so our kids would never have to be new kids. I mean, there's a lot to do that. To always be a new kid moving into an already established school body is tough, and to do it year after year. So I'm a little concerned that, now 18 years, and no one has seen it as appropriate to really resolve that problem. I live in the most densely populated area of the township, and we moved here. They had just closed Cardington, and of course then they tore it down. But I want you to have some perspective. We're talking about it now when we're planning about it, but you talked about not having a home. In my neighborhood, those kids for at least 7 years didn't have a home. They just kept being moved around. And now I don't think being in a school building, not even in your district, is having a home. So you feel bad that the administration has no home. Well, think about my neighborhood. My son is 41, and I know for at least 7 years before that, they didn't have a home school. So that is really going on 50 years that this has not been resolved. And I think talking about it, we should be well past talking about it. I'll be back next month.
Dr. McGarry, I know we have facilities plans in the work and plans for that, so if you want to address that, please do if you would like.
Sure. If Ms. Parker can hang around, or if some of the team want to talk to Ms. Parker about what we are doing and exploring, there'll be an update in September to the public on exploration of properties to build a new elementary school in that area. We'll also be providing an update and a temporary consideration of moving Sanko into the school community into the Aronimink renovation temporarily, going to school with an Aronimink until we can find a location to build that new elementary school. But this will be discussed in September. We agree with Ms. Parker. This board agrees with Ms. Parker. The issue becomes one of zoning and a space, but we want to build a new elementary school in the district, and we have every intention of doing that. So we're happy, Ms. Parker, if you keep coming, that's great. We're happy to have a conversation with you too right now to talk about those plans.
Thank you for coming, and thank you for your comments. Ms. Buford, are there any online phone comments or emailed comments?
Yes, sir. There's one comment from a student, Seminor Rothman. This student lives at 6608 Chestnut Street in Upper Darby. This comment was received on the 13th at 7:30 via email, and it is a general comment. It reads as follows. Why is it that y'all can't just reopen the darn cafeteria? With COVID restrictions repealed and an array of different dietary restrictions our students, myself included, have, isn't it better to reopen the cafeteria and make it a place of socialization and community, as well as a diverse menu that can accommodate all dietary restrictions? Seems bizarre to me that this hasn't been brought up, let alone enacted, but I think this shows how the district doesn't care for the extremely diverse community that it houses on a daily basis. End of comment.
Thank you.
That concludes our comments for this evening.
Thank you, Ms. Buford. I think that completes all the comments. Is there a motion for the adjournment of the meeting?
So moved.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you.